Morning, everyone. Babel, Vante, Sarah, welcome in. Hello, it's been a month. It has. I completely. Well, I didn't completely forget, but it just completely slipped my mind that Mother's Day falls on Sunday, even though obviously, of course, it does. So. I'm finishing off a coffee. And hopefully I've triple checked. It should not be creating a second stream to YouTube. So hopefully it's behaving today. Let's see. I need to clean up some of the layers on this sketch. Let me do that real quick just so it's easier to. Today is also probably going to be pretty short because I do have a bunch of stuff I have to do today, but we will hang out for a while. And hopefully YouTube will not get mad at me. There we go. Only one stream is running? Okay, good. Y2 stream. So, Sarah, because I tried to have my streams set up so that it would output both to Twitch and to YouTube, and for a while that was working correctly, but then it started routing streams, basically two outputs to YouTube, so it would create two streams on YouTube that were running at the same time, and we would all be here chatting in one stream, and then like one of my friends ended up in the other stream and couldn't see the chat. So I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't do that, but you know, it is what it is. So I just disabled the Twitch stream because it was causing too many problems. Maybe one day I will fix it. Probably not. I have like one person that prefers to watch on Twitch. Bless his heart. Appreciate him. Masu, if you're lurking in the YouTube chat, I appreciate you. But it's because I used to stream on Twitch a lot back when I was streaming games. And it was like, oh, well, you know, there might be a couple people there who want to watch, but it's just creating too many issues. And I'm trying to keep art kind of here on YouTube, and then Twitch I kind of keep in reserve for games if I feel like streaming games again. But whatever, not a big deal. It's definitely a dress, I promise. She's clothed, YouTube. I promise she has clothes on. I promise they're being very respectable in public. Oh goodness, there's a fly in here because I made the mistake of opening my door to get my groceries this morning, carry them inside, and it let a bunch of fly. Well, it let one singular fly in. It's bothering me. Oh well. This is in fact a dress. It's definitely a dress, I promise. You can tell that I have no idea what Cyril's other arm is going to be doing. I didn't want... here, let me... For the sake of illustration, I will demonstrate what I mean. I didn't want his arm... Like, this is his shoulder. Upper arm. Elbow. I didn't want his hand to be, like... That's what Cyril's hand looks like. I didn't want it to be coming up in front of her because I wanted you to be able to see her. And if I have his arm coming forward this way, I would need to bring like all of this way because that's how anatomy works. So I would need to be like bringing his shoulder forward and probably up actually. I would be bringing his whole shoulder kind of up and forward. And then I would have to adjust like pectoral muscle and like all of this. I would have to adjust all of it. And I want to be lazy. I don't want to do that. And I don't want to cover her up. But I don't know. I'm still deciding what I'm gonna kind of do with his arm because right now it's just like it just ends. It just ends there. Little bone sticking out. His arm just ends right there. Oh my goodness, this fly. Oh, get out of here. They are hugging and they are happy. It does look like a stripy nightgown. Okay, but does Cyril ever look happy? Correct. Cyril has mastered, instead of the resting bitch face, he has the resting bastard face. Also, the detail of Bronte's little cheek smush right here, very, very important. Very, very cute. Technically, her hand really shouldn't be there because it's right on the buttons of this cassock, which are gonna burn her more than like the fabric of his cassock. The fabric of his cassock stings, but it doesn't burn. It's just kind of unpleasant. It's not as bad as a bee sting, but it's similar. So it's not burning, but it's a very specific sting. But the metal itself, that is blessed and that will actually burn. So her hand shouldn't be there, but we're just gonna ignore that. And you can tell that I also just have the buttons randomly stop. The buttons also are not in the correct place. They're kind of out of order. Well, not out of order, that's not the right word, but they're not correctly spaced far enough apart. I just need to tweak him in general. And actually, I'm gonna probably start by just removing the buttons because they're gonna bother me. But that means I have to find the layer where I put my buttons. I don't know where they are. And I've even labeled these layers. And I still can't find it. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Okay, cool. Both bees if he wants to. He can do whatever he wants. My iPad doesn't work? Oh, that's a shame. Alright, let's see here. Do I know what Bronte's wearing? No. I technically don't even know what Cyril is wearing, because I just kind of always draw him with this shrink-wrapped, vaguely dark fabric on top of him, and then I decide if that's going to be his cassock later or not. I do need to adjust the angle because his pecs don't really align with his collarbone right now. Oops. This actually needs to... Actually, he's kind of... I do want to give the impression that he's leaning back because obviously he is. So we'll probably have... something more like that. And you'd probably be able to see his waist coming in, assuming he's like... his... My goodness. I don't even own a fly swatter because I never have problems with flies. Ugh. Oh, and you know what? I think this line, this one right here, I think that's Bronte's other shoulder, because I was going to have her kind of curling this way, kind of into him. But then I thought that she wouldn't have her cheek against him very comfortably if she did that. I keep being interested in an iPad, and then I'm like, I'd only play on Deep Space, so meh. I have considered getting an iPad and an Apple Pencil, or some other version of the Apple Pencil. I'm assuming that there are other third-party versions. Anyway, I've debated getting an iPad and Procreate so I can draw on Procreate, because I'd like to, in theory, have a... I was going to call it transportable, but I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. That's not the right word. Portable. Portable, that's the word. I was considering having a portable way of drawing so I could go to like a coffee shop, or when I'm traveling, you know, I can still draw. I don't have to be kind of tethered to my desktop in order to draw. But I have not yet been able to justify the price of an iPad and Procreate and a pencil and all of that when I am able to draw with my current setup. So we'll see. Maybe one day it'll happen, maybe not. Love and Deep Space has Cyril in it, I would be broke. Ver, I rely on your Love and Deep Space knowledge because you have mentioned this to me before. Which one of the Love and Deep Space guys is the one that's like the quote dark romance guy? I know there's one because you've mentioned him to me before, and I'm assuming he would be the most comparable to Cyril, even though I'm sure he's probably not, because I'm assuming he's their personalities are different, but I just don't know. Listen, I'm grasping at straws, trying to use my very limited knowledge of Love and Deep Space. Silas. Wait, we have Silas and Caleb? Oh, Caleb has yandere tendencies. Okay, I see. So that's okay. That's a good shout. Silas is, and see, this is my this is my other hobby, the doll hobby, showing through, because the amount of crossover between people who play Love and Deep Space and people who collect dolls, there's a big overlap there. So there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of dolls that artists have created and yada yada. They're not like licensed, but they're, you know, like independently created for the Love of Deep Space boys, and I'm assuming because of this, because I have seen so much of this through osmosis in the hobby, I am assuming Silas is the one with silver hair. Am I right? That's like the extent of my knowledge, and I only know that because I see the wigs for the dolls go on sale, and I'm thinking that I've got that right. Here, I'll this is purely from memory, but I think I'm right. Silas has like a very angular jaw, and then his hair looks like that. Right? That. Am I right? I refuse to Google it. I rely only on my own knowledge. Caleb is the adopted brother who's obsessed with her past life as an android and got. Oh, okay. Silas. Oh, so Mafia. Okay, so Mafia. That makes sense. That's very much playing into the dark romance vibe. Okay. See, I know these things. I mean, it's more or less right. So what you're saying is, I could draw Love and Deep Space fan art and start making a fuck ton of money. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think this is Cyril's lines that are messy right there. So let me. Oh, only some of them. Okay. Oh, that's like the edge of Bronte's head, actually. Interesting. Okay, so I need to adjust that because. So you guys want to know a little art theory thing that I was taught? It's one of several little art theory things that I constantly remember when I'm drawing, because we have a scenario where that would apply right now. We've got this overlap right here where you have the edge of Bronte's head and Cyril's neck. What's happening here is that you basically have two lines that are going to end up like perfectly aligning, and you don't want that. And in fact, it's important that when you're drawing something like this, you make sure if that is happening, you adjust to prevent that from happening. So in this case, I have to think about how I want to tackle that. Yes, Love and Deep Space art would make money. Women are wild for this guy. Oh, honey. Oh, honey. Do I know that? Just from the doll hobby, because oh my lord, the amount of money people throw at these things. And I say this as someone who throws money at it because Blorbos. I don't play it myself, but I have a friend who goes mental at it. Yeah. I think most of my female friends play Love and Deep Space. They might not be like super like mega fans of it, but they do at least play it and enjoy it. Rotting Beach, welcome in. How are you today? Silas is rich. So what we have here is a scenario where we've got two different entities, shall we say, that are meeting in a place where this line would indicate the boundary for both of them. And that is what you don't want. You always want lines to overlap so that something goes behind and something is in the foreground. You don't want it to have like that perfect split, which is what we end up having here. And you can tell that I kind of didn't really know what to do here because Cyril's neck just kind of disappears. And the only indication that it keeps going is this dark color and the shape of his clerical collar. This is one of the art lessons that I learned as a kid that was really drilled into me. So I have to decide who's going to be in the foreground, who's going to be in the background. And because Bronte is wearing her veil, I'm thinking what I will probably do is have... So his chin will be in front of her to give it depth, because obviously his chin would come out forward. But her veil will probably get kind of extended, because her veil adds volume to her head. So what we'll probably do is bring her veil out, and then maybe have it kind of like underneath her cheek, and maybe we can have it kind of back here or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll probably do something like that and have her be in front rather than having his neck be in front and then her head goes behind that. I have to ponder that. I'm not really sure exactly what I want to do yet. We'll see. I'll think on it. Have her hair breaking the line. I'm leaning towards that, having her head be the foreground. I'm not a fan of phone or pad games. Maybe I'll give it a try when it comes to PC. Oh yeah, you can play with an emulator. BlueStacks is and one of the bigger emulators, I believe. I am like you though, Babel. I just cannot play phone games. The only time I can play a phone game is if I'm like stranded without Wi-Fi or power. And then I'll desperately have like something on my phone to occupy me, but I'll usually just read a book if that ever happens. Oh, but speaking of books, that's a nice little segue for us. The audiobook is still in final production, but it should be done soon. I don't know how soon is soon, but hopefully soon. I sent off my final notes to the narrator, so he should be getting back to me again soon. I don't really know how soon, but soon. And once the audiobook goes up, I'm pretty sure. I don't know yet. It kind of depends on how quickly I can push everything through edits, but once the audiobook goes up, Immolation is also going to be getting a second edition. Not the second volume, the second edition. So it's going to be volume 1, but there's going to be changes made to it. I'm adding some stuff. And I don't mean like story content. I mean that to the actual book, I'm going to be adding what's called front and back matter. So there's going to be a dramatis personae in the front of the book. That's going to list out all of your characters. There's also probably, I'm not entirely sure yet, but I know a couple people have asked me for it. There's probably going to be an index, or I guess it'd be a glossary. I don't know, whichever one it's going to be. I have to remember the definitions and I just don't have them off the top of my head. But there's going to be an index or a glossary, whichever one it is, at the back of the book for like specific terms that have come up. I'm not sure if that's going to be included yet or not, because there really aren't that many specific terms. But depending on how it goes, I'll put things like certain spells, like Immolation. You'll get like a description of what that spell does, and so on and so forth. Because those are a couple of things that people have asked me for. No, I'm sorry, there's not going to be a map in the second edition. I cannot afford a map. The audiobook is expensive enough. I can't afford a map right now. Maybe in the future, but not right now. Not with this edition. There's also going to be changes to the cover of the book. They're pretty minor, but it is going to be different. So all of that will be happening soonish. I'm a casual player, so I don't like the combat. So it has auto battle. Okay. So I can play as I lay down. I'll go into bed. I also prefer phone games that simultaneously listen or watch something else. Yeah, I used to have a game on my phone that I really liked, but they shut it down, and it made me very sad. It was called, perhaps predictably, I Love Coffee. And it was a little coffee shop management game, and it was extremely cute. But they shut it down, and I am very sad. Lore world book? Let's go. No, no, no. That's not happening. No. We're not doing that. There's so much. Oh my goodness. I was gonna do something and I got distracted reading chat. Hold on. Okay. Man, I have all these lines in all these different layers. Victoria, what's the sad face for? Because is it for the lore book, or is it for the lack of a map, or which one is it? What's the height of Bronte? I don't know. She's probably like 5'2", 5'3" ish. About that height. With her shoes on, she gets bumped up a little bit because her shoes have a little bit of a heel, but that's about how tall she is. In centimeters, convert it. Convert it yourself. I don't know. I don't know centimeters off the top of my head. I love coffee. I've been playing Love and Pies for years. Phone games that are actually relaxing are cute though. Yeah, for sure. I think I'm literally picking up my phone to see if I have any games installed on it whatsoever. I don't think I do. Oh, I do. I have, it's called? That's not the one that I'm thinking of. Or is it? I can't remember. Oh, I'm thinking of my old phone. That's why. I was looking at, so the one that I have on this phone is Cats and Soup, which is just like a clicker game that you just open up now and then and you like harvest your money and whatever. And it's just something cute that I would have to run in the background while I was writing. But there was a different version. I think it's the same company, I think, but it was like a tile merge version where you like restore a building over time or something like that. And that one I had on my previous phone, which I thought I had on this phone, but I don't. That shows you how much that I play games. Oh my goodness, that was not a proper sentence, but whatever. What is a kilometer? Listen, I'm an American. I measure things in the most inconvenient way possible. Bronte is the height of approximately 12 squirrels. Around 160 centimeters. It's around 158 centimeters. She's just like me for real. Yeah, so there's your centimeters. 158, 160-ish. I wanted the map, but don't worry, I know it takes time to do something. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I want a map too, and in my case, I want a map that not only can go in the book itself for people to reference, but I want a map that can be printed out and hung on like my wall. Like I want that for me, and other people if they want it too, but I want that for me. However, that would cost literal thousands of dollars. and I already pay literal thousands of dollars to get Immolation edited and now to have the audiobook recorded. And I do not make any profit from the books in any way. I don't even break even. I don't even come close to breaking even. So I can't afford all of that at once. And I'm also debating if I want... See, I know what I want, and it's expensive, so I don't like it. But basically, the idea is I want a map of Windermere. I want a map of the city. But then I also want a map of, like, the province itself, where you can see, like, the train line and down south to, like, Melly and Parvin and up north to Bishop's Bride and all of that. So that's 2 maps. And I can't even afford one. So we'll see what happens. Yes, I've thought about drawing them myself, but I don't, because I want it to be something that I hang up on my own wall. I have a very, very high standard that I want it to meet, and I'm just not capable of that with my current artistic ability. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. He would print 4 maps so every wall could be Windermere. How expensive are the maps? It depends on who you commission, obviously. But for example, a map of Windermere that's relatively detailed, like of a city, I've poked around in a couple of different places. There's a whole forum, I believe it's called Cartographer Guild. I'm not sure. I have a bookmark somewhere. But there's an entire forum dedicated to finding people who offer map commissions. And the commission itself is expensive, right? So you have, like, you should be expecting anywhere from about $1,000 up to maybe 1,700-ish, give or take. That's for the map to be created. You then must pay commercial rights because you have to now print and distribute that, and you're not going to give the person royalties for that. You have to pay them commercial rights to get the license for it, which usually is a 100% increase, so double the price to get the rights to it, to produce it, to print it, and so on. So whatever, and that's a low estimate, because usually commercial rights are closer to like 200%, or like pushing to 50%. So basically whatever the price is, you should expect to double it for commercial rights. That's why it's so expensive. I used to make maps for a while and never stick. It takes a lot of patience for sure. No wonder it's expensive, since it's a whole skill on its own. It really is a whole skill on its own, and I really admire people who make really charming maps. Because, like, I've messed around with Incarnate just like everybody else. Like, yeah, it's a really cool tool, but to learn it and to really master it and to create something with it that you can use, first of all, that requires a subscription because you have to pay Incarnate for that. But that's a whole separate skill. And just like with the audiobook itself, could I do it myself? Yeah, I could if I pause everything else I was doing and, you know, got the correct mic setup and, you know, probably taught myself, like, probably went through some classes on voice acting and you know, kind of all that stuff. Could I do it? Yes, but I would have to stop everything and kind of hone this brand new skill. And even if I did all of that honing, I would still not be anywhere near the ability of someone who has several years of experience already doing it. So I very much would like to have someone who has that experience and that expertise lend that towards the project, rather than just trying to kind of brute force my way through and do it myself. Could I do it? Yes, it's the same with the map. Um, I feel like I want it to have the best chance it can, and also I like supporting other creators. Like it's been very pleasant to work with the narrator for the audiobook, and I enjoy being able to experience my art and my projects like through someone else. That's a really interesting experience for me. So, but I'm poor. So it's gonna take me time. I need to find my hair clip. Hold on, sit tight. Actually, I mean, you're coming with me because I have a headset on and my mic is attached to my shirt. But I'm not at my desk, but you get to come with me while I go find my hair clip. Hello, Lilith. Welcome in. How are you? We're just talking about maps and audiobooks and how I'm poor. It's very expensive to have a map made for the novel. And we were talking about that because Immolation Volume 1 is going to be getting its second edition soon with some changes. But one of the changes that I'm not making, unfortunately, is adding a map to the book because it's too expensive at this time. There you are. Come here, bitch. All right, I found my clip. There we go. I'm good, and you? I'm doing well, thank you. Work has been crazy. I've had to work like between 1 and 3 hours of overtime every single day for, I don't know, the past 2.5 weeks, give or take. And I'm sure I'm gonna have to do it again this upcoming week because of everything is just being so crazy. But that's all right. We'll get through it. I once made a map that took almost 3 months. Yep, that sounds about right. It takes a long time, especially depending on how detailed the map is. Let's see. Um, oh, I'm so sorry. I just completely punched my microphone. Hold on. Didn't mean to grab you by the throat like that. I actually just was reaching into my shirt to try and scratch an itch in my shoulder. All right. But yeah, I mean, I've drawn a map, quote, quote, map, of Windermere before, just as a reference for myself. But see, and this is the thing. Hold on. We need visual aids. We need visual aids for this. Because the type of map that, and well, you tell me what you think, but there's basically two types of maps. You're all good. We didn't hear anything. Good, because it definitely lit up as if I made an incredible noise. But okay, so that's the worst little dividing line in the middle, but like whatever. We're just gonna ignore it. So we've got the two types or styles of maps, if you want to think of them that way. So you have your top-down maps, which will basically look like, so imagine this is like the page of the book, right? Because we're thinking about this in the context of it would be in a book, even if I also do want it to be a print that I can literally hang on my wall, because that would be really cool. You've got your two types of maps. You basically have one that is top down, so you'll have, like, for example. This is going to be really simplified because it's just trying to illustrate something. But like, let's say, for example, you have the cathedral, right? And then you have the castle, and then I can't draw a castle, but let's pretend that that's a castle. Castle. And then you have fancy house. That's, yeah, whatever, close enough. And then you have the river, and then you've got like boats and stuff over there. So you have top down, right? Where you have like the lay of the land in terms of like the rivers, not really too much topography, but you have like the general idea, and it's kind of like you're floating directly above whatever it is you want to look at, and you can see it from top down. And then you've got, I don't know if the correct term for it would be 3/4. I don't think that's correct, because that's like talking about like seeing a face from like the 3/4 perspective, but basically have like an angle where instead of it being top down like this, you would see like river, and then you would have some depth basically. Yeah, this is very simplified, but basically you're seeing things in 3D. I can't. This is very difficult, but whatever. Eat it. So you kind of get the idea. And then there's like a boat over there, whatever. I'm not going to draw that boat. So rather than it being like a square grid, you have like this plane that everything sits on. Does that make sense? And all that to say, this is the kind of map that I want. One that is 3D. I don't want it to be a top-down map. And that's what I've drawn for my own reference. Oops. That's what I've drawn for my own reference, but it's not to the level of quality that I would put it in the book. I'm so thankful you're not saying you're underqualified for novels and art, though I believe you have mentioned it a few times. Well, underqualified. I don't think I'm an amazing writer or artist. I think I am a beginner in both of these things. But like, I think I'm an okay beginner. I think underqualified after Babel, I was telling you about this. I did some beta reading this past week for someone. I read 3 chapters. And I would not say, comparatively, I am not underqualified. But perhaps the person that I read would be considered underqualified. And that sounds really mean, and I don't mean it to sound that way. He's clearly a beginner, more of a beginner than I am. I'm assuming it was a he. They didn't tell me. This person. Let's just say that even though I am a beginner, I do feel like I have at least some merit, even though I, of course, still have lots and lots to learn. Shut up, you're amazing. Thank you. That's very kind of you. I appreciate that. What did I miss? I was putting away dishes. Just shenanigans, don't worry. Look at this guy being delusional. Your art is good. Thank you. Yeah, that guy. And there's the writer. I believe he's a writer. I don't believe he's published, so he would be a writer, as opposed to an author, which means he's published something. So my understanding is that he's a writer and he's working on his first story. It was a relatively short story. I believe it was a total of 56,000 words, which, if you want some context, 56,000 words is roughly a little bit over 1/3 of what immolation is. Immolation's like about 150,000 words, and this guy wrote an entire book that was approximately 56,000. So a little bit over like 1/3 of the length of immolation. And he sent me, again, I'm going to assume that it's a he, even though he didn't technically tell me. He sent me the first 3 chapters, which is about 4,000 words. And I really feel for the guy because he's going to be 60 and still say I'm an amateur. You're correct. I will always be learning. I will always hopefully be improving, but I will always be learning, and therefore I will always consider myself an amateur in some way, shape, or form. But I really felt for the guy that I beta read for because I have been writing long enough, in the context of writing novels specifically. I've been writing long enough to recognize both a lot of very specific beginner mistakes and to know why some of those mistakes happen. And it's not necessarily that someone is, quote, a bad writer or anything like that. It's that when someone is new and they're a beginner, they are going to be trying to learn as much information about the craft of writing and the craft of storytelling as possible. And it's very, very easy to become paralyzed by, oh gosh, am I doing this, quote unquote, right? And that kind of overthinking and analysis paralysis manifests as a lot of very stereotypical beginner, quote, beginner mistakes that I saw him making in this manuscript. There's the old classic of you're telling instead of showing. You always want to show, not tell. Things like that. But yeah, the manuscript was not in a good way. Irrespective of the actual technical writing part of it. The story itself was disjointed, if that's the correct word. I don't know. It's very hard to describe. But let's just say that if I was given that premise and asked to write it, I would do something very different. Because I think his premise was interesting. He had this premise that a knight was desperate and needed to, quote, recruit cowards to become knights. And I read that prompt and I was like, well, that makes no sense at all. A knight wouldn't want to recruit cowards. So, like, what's going on? Because clearly he's presenting that as a hook, something to get you interested in reading, like, wait, that doesn't make sense, or why would someone want to do that, and so on, and that makes you want to pick up the book and read it, which is what it did for me. And so I asked him, like, hey, can you send me a sample so I can give it a quick read and see if I'm potentially like a good fit for reading the story? Because it might just be written in a tone, or it might just have, I don't know, a certain subject matter or something that just doesn't interest me, you know, yada, yada, yada. So instead of committing to reading the entire thing, I said, hey, can you just send me a quick sample and I'll see if I can, you know, give you some first impressions and some thoughts. And I got what I wanted. I did get a sample, but it was definitely, I don't know how to describe it other than it was, I keep coming back to the word disjointed, but I don't even know that that's the right word. There were a lot of beginner mistakes in it, like I said. So there's a lot of telling instead of showing. We are told multiple times that the main character in question, Cyril, I need to get rid of this. Where did I put it? Oh no. Oh no. There it is. Okay, thank goodness. Okay. It was indeed a sample. It sure was. We are told multiple times that the lead character is very well spoken and can, I don't know if manipulate people is quite the right word, but he's supposed to be like the classic charismatic, compelling knight that can kind of really charm people into doing stuff and so on and so forth. And because of his status as a knight, that in and of itself makes him very persuasive. Persuasive, that's the word that I was thinking of. And none of the actual dialogue or other characters' reactions to that character at all made him seem compelling or respected or any of that. There just wasn't any of that. So that's where you kind of get the telling instead of showing, and I get it that it can be hard to write that as a beginner, and there's nothing wrong with being a beginner. There was no scene there was no scene setting whatsoever, which made it very, very difficult. There was also no sense of scale, because we're told that this is like a post-apocalyptic fantasy world. So some earth-shattering, world-ending, cataclysmic type event has happened that has irreparably damaged and changed the world, and now people are basically in a state of survival after this apocalyptic event. But then we're also told things like food is being rationed, and they, quote, they won't let you do certain things, which implies a certain amount of organized central control, which that might be the case. Even in a post-apocalyptic world, you might very much have like central governing bodies that have either come about after the apocalyptic event or that have held on through that event. But we weren't really told that. And it's kind of hard to describe without really getting into the weeds of it, but as someone who has been in a lot of writer groups and a lot of writer forums and has seen a lot of the advice that is given to newer writers, and that I was given myself, and I don't mean to be like all hoity-toity and puffing my chest like, but I knew better than to listen, because no, that's not the case. But it's very easy for me to see that this guy has received the same kind of advice that I was given, and he has internalized all of it, and it has manifested in a manuscript that is not very compelling to read. Bronze looks eepy sleepy. She does. This it's definitely a dress, I promise. She's definitely clothed, I promise. But her little cheek smush, it just chef kiss. It's so cute. I love her so much. Do you believe people probably don't research as much on writing improvements as you do? It sounds to me like people just start writing when they have a scenario in their heads. Ultimately, I think so let me try to answer both pieces, or multiple pieces here. Do you believe people probably don't research as much on writing improvements as you do? I don't think so at all. In fact, I think I do not do a lot of research on writing improvement, and I think other people do more. Because this person, this individual, after I had read the sample and I said, here are my thoughts, here are my first impressions, here's what I recommend you do, I'm not going to keep reading from this point. That's what I told him. I said, here are my first impressions, here are my observations, here are my suggestions, I don't want to keep reading from this point. Which in and of itself is feedback as well. The fact that someone does not want to keep reading is feedback in and of itself. It's hard feedback to get, and I understand that, but that is the feedback that he got from me. And 99%, literally practically all of my feedback was about the story itself and the way he was presenting that story. I pointed out that the characters were not consistent, that there was a bunch of telling instead of showing. I pointed out that there were things that didn't make sense. I pointed out that certain things without context need to be explained because he didn't give any kind of lore or any kind of explanation for things. He would contradict himself a lot. Characters would say one thing and then do something completely different, so on and so forth. He didn't respond to any of that. He only responded to, at the very end, I left a footnote saying, by the way, your sentences, your structure is really poor. You're missing commas where there should be commas in sentences, and your sentences are super short because basically instead of using commas, he would use full stops and end sentences and then continue them, so it's just a bunch of fragments kind of strung together. And then when some sentences should have commas to separate, for example, adjectives just describing a noun, there weren't any. So there were a lot of structural issues in terms of just the prose itself, but I literally left that as one small footnote at the very end of my notes because, and I said this, your sentence structure is poor and it needs work, but you need to get your story sorted out first before you even start thinking about your sentence structure, because that comes later. That comes during editing. You have to get your story sorted out first, then you can worry about how your sentences read. And so when he responded to me, the only thing he asked was, do you have any writing, like, craft books you can recommend to me to get my sentences fixed? Which isn't the problem right now. That's not what his manuscript needs. His manuscript needs work on the story, not on the sentences. The sentences need work, but that comes later. That comes during editing. And I repeated that to him, and I tried to explain that and said, you don't need to worry about that right now, and I don't want you to get paralyzed by hyperfixating on your grammar and your structure when your story itself needs the most work. He didn't end up responding to that. It is what it is. I tried to help him, but and the reason I mention that is because when you said, do you believe that people probably don't do as much research on writing improvements as you do? I think no, it's the opposite. He has done so much research that he's completely paralyzed and hyperfixating on the wrong part of development. Whereas I had to tell him, I'm sorry, I don't have any writing craft recommendations because I've never picked up a single writing craft guidebook in my life. I've never read one. So I can't recommend it because I've never used one. And there's probably a distinction to be made there between, do you think people do less research into writing than you do? Writing, there's two different parts to it. There's storytelling, the way that you actually craft and present your story and the material that you're trying to tell. And writing in the technical sense, writing in the literal structure of your sentences and how you word things and whether you can achieve a rhythm as people read. Those are two separate parts. They both come together to make a novel, obviously, but they're two separate things. When it comes to storytelling, have I done a lot of research? Yes, absolutely. But I haven't done a ton of research into the structure of writing itself. I've been very fortunate that I got a pretty robust education as a young person, and I recognize not everyone has that. But because of that, I haven't needed to do a whole lot of research, and then I have an editor who comes behind me and slaps me on the wrist when I make really obvious mistakes. But yeah, so it's not that like, oh, I do so much more research than these other people. It's not that. And then say, It sounds to me like people just start writing when they have a scenario in their heads. And I would argue that that's the right way to do it. What's that? There's like that meme floating around. Hold on. Hold on. We're gonna get some visual aids again. Hang on. There's that meme floating around. Well, I don't know if meme is the right word, but whatever. It looks like this. You probably already can tell what I'm doing. Oh, come on. There we go. You see, you know the meme, right? Where it says, just make it exist first, you can make it good later. And it looks like this, and I'm pretty sure it's like blue or whatever. Anyway, that's basically what I told this guy, is make it exist first, make it good later. If you have an idea of a story you want to write, you just need to start writing it. Once you start getting it down onto paper, then you can go through and you can fine-tune it and you can polish it and you can improve it. But getting it out is the first step. And clearly the guy whose manuscript I read had done that first step, but then he had skipped over the polishing and the fine-tuning straight to trying to make like the prose and like the text itself structured quote correctly. And again, even from what he said to me, I could go find the message that he sent me. He was very clearly overwhelmed. He was saying like, I keep trying to read all of these writing craft books, but every time I read one, the advice is different. I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna help you, not at the stage you're at. So, and I wish I could have done more to kind of make that clear. I don't know. I thought I was as clear as I could have been, but he might just not be at a stage with his writing journey where he's able to hear that, and that's not and that's fine. That's totally fine. But for example, things like fixing how a character is presenting themselves, things like fixing consistency issues. For example, we have a scene in that manuscript he sent me where one of the characters tells another character, in reference to a monster, says, don't look at it, don't make eye contact, don't acknowledge it, and don't turn your back on it. And as he says this, he is looking at the monster in question. So he's contradicting what he says. He says, don't look at it, as he's looking directly at it. And then he says, don't turn your back on it, as they are all, as a group, going to walk past it and therefore will inevitably turn their backs on it because they're going to travel beyond the monster. So things like that. And I pointed out those sort of things to him, and he didn't acknowledge them at all. So it is what it is. But it was that kind of stuff that was very, very present throughout the entire manuscript. You can tell that he had this one concept of this knight recruiting, quote, cowards. But the presentation of the whole thing was, I don't know, it was rough, I think is the only way to describe it. It was rough in the sense that it is an unpolished, unfinished story. It is the very first draft of someone's idea, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you present that for beta reading, you need to be able to be like, okay, now I need to fix it. So, I don't know. I hope he can get his story to where it wants to be, or where he wants it to be, rather. based off of what he read, and I'm not a writing coach, and I'm not trying to like take over this guy's story and tell him what to do. But if he had asked me, I would have told him, after reading like your first two chapters and seeing what you're trying to do, because the first two chapters are trying to do two things, okay? The first two chapters of this guy's manuscript were trying to, in chapter 1, introduce the world and introduce the concept that this knight needs cowards. We don't really know why yet, but that's okay. You can have that element of mystery. I think that's fine. He wants cowards. Interesting. We have a hook. And the second chapter is setting up the characters that are going to be your main cast through this book. There's going to be a total of 3 characters. There's going to be the knight and 2 other people that he manages to recruit. The cowards in question that he manages to recruit. And that's fine. But even in reading those 2 chapters, I immediately had ideas of how I could make that concept way more compelling, way more interesting, way more emotionally impactful without making a lot of the mistakes that this guy did in terms of damaging his own character's reputation and ultimately creating something that's really boring to read and also having no character development by the end of those 2 chapters. He really, really wants it to be the knight and the 2 recruits. That's fine. But you've also presented your knight as this extremely compelling, manipulative, inspiring figure who's offering knighthood to people, but he's only able to get 2 recruits, which tells us that actually he's not very compelling, and he's not very persuasive, and he's not actually offering something really interesting, because if he was, more people would have been recruited. It's that kind of stuff, right? And I totally get that it can be difficult to see those kind of things as the person who wrote it, and that's what beta reading is for. But like, if he had asked me, I would have told him, look, here's like 6 ideas, 6 different scenarios that you could rewrite this, and you could come out the end with the same conclusion. You could get to the end of chapter 2 and have your trio of 3 characters that you want for the rest of your story. It's clear that he wants these 3 to be his main cast, and that's why he's limiting it this way. And that's totally fine. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could have helped him out, but he wasn't really interested in... And I'm not a writing coach. I don't claim to be like an expert at this kind of stuff. It's just... I hope he gets where he wants to be. That's all. I hope he can get to where he wants to be. You tried your best to help him. I did. And you did need storytelling by writing. It's also an inspirational message. I try to be nice. I've had people who are... Most of the people in the writing community that I have come across have been very, very rude. They've been kind of unnecessarily cruel. So I try really hard to not be that way. I try to be genuinely helpful and as understanding as possible. Hopefully it helps this guy. Hopefully he takes at least some of it to heart. Again, I don't claim to be like an expert or anything like that, but I'd like to think that it helps it at least a little, and that he listens to at least a little bit of it. Are there only people who focus on creating and rewriting good characters so that they can't get out of character? So, do you mean, are there people that focus on writing only characters to the point that they can't get past their characters to the story that they're trying to tell? Because yes, that is something that you see a lot in writing circles. And in general, you see that a lot with world building too. People will spend so much time world building that they can never actually tell the story that they want to tell because they're stuck in the details and the weeds of the world that they're building. That's something that's very common. And some people don't necessarily want to write novels or tell stories. They just want to build worlds, and that's also totally fine. There's a lot of people who their entire hobby and the way that they express themselves and their creativity is just by creating worlds. They don't necessarily have to tell a story, they can just create a world. So there's all different types of creativity there. And just because someone is writing doesn't necessarily mean that they want to write a novel. They might be just creating characters. They might be creating worlds. They might be creating stuff for, like, for example, what are they called? Like tabletop games, that kind of stuff. So just because someone's a writer doesn't necessarily mean that they want to or are trying to write a novel. There's no right or wrong way to go about that kind of creativity. But if you are trying to write a novel, it is important that you don't misconstrue writing a novel as something else. Otherwise, you are just going to get frustrated and kind of end up stuck, which would not be fun. I did make a character who's undead. He's a ghoul, but I haven't thought about how he became that way. His name is Manny. Sounds cute. I'm a big fan of any name that starts with an M, as you can probably tell if you've read any of my stuff. There's a character in Volume 2 who, surprise, surprise, got an M name. I always default to M names. So I think that is all, yes. That is all Bronte's sketch, so let's find that and fix it. No, they are so well done that you can't mess them up. So, I mean, ideally, you should be able to have a very clear idea of characters in virtually any work. Like, I don't know if I've met anyone or read any particular novel that has those really, for lack of a better word, like watertight characters. I'm sure there are people and authors out there who are writing absolutely exceptional characters that are very, very watertight. I haven't personally interacted with writers that have that kind of presentation. But I've not done a huge amount of beta reading for people. So I'm sure they're out there. I just haven't necessarily met any of them. I've had people say that my characters are pretty stable, which is good. My editor had said while editing Volume 1 that the character voices were very distinct, and so it made it really easy for her to kind of go about her job. So that was good. That's helpful. I'm hoping I can continue to improve. I hope the guy figures it out. I have a fantasy post-human world with crow characters, replacing them, but I'm still figuring out how that happened. It's so underdeveloped, but I lack the motivation. I feel that. It can be tough when you lack motivation, but you've got really good bones, and I think that's the important thing. You can kind of build out from there, because I know that it definitely, and I don't know if lack of motivation is quite the right word in my case. I tend to, which is why I feel so much for the guy that I was kind of talking about. I definitely get overwhelmed with the scale of the world that I'm building, and it can end up paralyzing me to try and figure out, okay, what do I need to tackle next? What do I need to focus on next? And that's part of why I'm working on Immolation, because Immolation is actually kind of like a scaled down version of this world, where you have a lot of the big kind of mechanics, for lack of a better word. You have a lot of the big mechanics, present in like the larger world, but they're all kind of smooshed down into this one location where everything happens in a very specific context. And that makes it really, really easy to work with in my case. It's different for everybody, but that was something that I found to be very beneficial because, oh man, I was talking to a friend of mine. I was talking to Mort, who I don't know if Mort is in the chat, probably not. But I was talking to Mort a couple of months ago. I don't know, whatever it was. We were just talking about creative projects and OCs and dolls because they also collect dolls. And we were kind of talking about plans for like a particular character. And I thought it was really interesting how, as Mort was creating their character and kind of building out their lore, they really worked from what we kind of ended up through the conversation we ended up calling like top to bottom or bottom to top, just kind of depending. They kind of worked from bottom to top by starting with that character's immediate interpersonal relationships and experiences. So they would like build out first, like, okay, who's their partner, you know, who are their friends, who are their parents, and so on and so forth, and then kind of build up into their bigger world from that point. Versus where I was coming from, I started with the really big picture of like, where is this person from in the world and what does that mean? And then drilling down and down and down into like, okay, finally, who are they related to? Who are their friends and so on. It was just really interesting to see how we approached it from like two completely different ends of the spectrum. I started the really, really large scale and they started on the really, really small scale, which I don't know. I thought that was interesting. Thing is that Manny is actively rotting within, but at a slow pace, you know? It's what makes him stand out compared to the media type of undead. I'm a big fan. Where can I buy my Manny merch? I got the main two characters drawn, their personalities and how they interact, and flow, etc. But the world is just bare bones and boring, even though I know what the big danger will be. Well, that makes sense. So you seem to work more in the style that my friend Mort does, where you kind of starting from like their interpersonal relationships and kind of the immediate surroundings, and then you build up from there. Which yeah, I think is really interesting because I do the opposite, but again, it's not that there's like a right or a wrong way to do it. Just everyone's different. I find that really interesting. Okay, I need to clean up her hair a little bit. She's so cute. I'm gonna scream. Okay. Oh, this is his cassock. I put that in the wrong folder. Let me move that. I guess it's easier when you know the whole base and rules first. I think it depends on the character. The character in question that I was working on when I was having that conversation with my friend is one of the characters who is very involved with the world on a large scale. So it was really, really important that that character be thought of in this kind of very large scale context because of the influence and the interaction he has. If a character doesn't have that kind of interaction, then they don't need that sort of big top-down look at them. And I think it definitely can be helpful. I'm trying to think of the word that I'm trying to use here. Hold on. I was going to use interpersonal again, but I don't think that's the right word. But for lack of a better way of phrasing it, one of my favorite things to do when I'm creating characters, and I do this a lot with Immolation, but one of my favorite things to do in creating characters and thinking about the world that they're in is I like to think about how just the average guy, just Ian from the marketing team, just, the average guy living in this world, how are they interacting with the world around them? Because not only does that help to contextualize the world, but it also makes it feel a lot more real and lived in. And that's something that I find really important, not just in my own writing, but in reading any writing. I really want to feel immersed, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to kind of set this base level standard of what's it like for just a normal person trying to go about their day and trying to live their life. And I find that to be really, really helpful, especially if you're dealing with a fantasy where you have all of these fantastical things happening. How much of that is normal and how much of that is mind-boggling to the average person can really help with kind of setting expectations. Is, again, not quite the right word. Standards also isn't quite the right word, but in my mind, I'm remembering that phrase and I can't remember where I heard this, but I heard it somewhere. When you're writing a fantasy, you don't want to confuse the words realistic with believable. You don't want your fantasy world to be, quote, realistic. You want it to be believable. And people will kind of lean really hard into making things, quote, realistic. And this really only applies to fantasy. It does have a different angle if you're writing like something like sci-fi, where you're going to be including elements of like science that do have to follow some amount of realism in order for them to be believable. But in fantasy, when you're dealing with all of these like crazy things, magic and all of this that completely spurns the idea of realism, what needs to be present is that undercurrent of believability. So you need to have characters that interact with their world in a way that's believable. If you have some magic thing that's present in the world, you need to make sure that your characters are interacting with that like it's a regular part of their everyday, so that it isn't immersion breaking when some other magic comes along and it's this totally mind-shattering thing and they're like, holy crap, what is this? This shouldn't be this way, blah, blah, blah. Because if you just gloss over how, quote, normal magic is in this world, then there isn't going to be any kind of context. You are like a creativity coach. Quick, someone brand that and market it and pay me a bunch of money. Oh no, my tea is cold. Oh no, the worst. What kind of tea did you make? Even though it's cold, what kind of tea did you make? Oh, see, I've done it again. I've put 2 lines where they're going to intersect. I'll have to think about that, but I'll think about it later, because I love postponing my problems. Bronzy, what did I do to your forehead? Why is it like that? Is that because I shaded your hair in? I'm guessing it is. Oh, wait, did I put that? What did I do? Aha, I see. That's where I put it. Okay. There we go. Yeah, have you ever tried Fortnum and Mason's tea? I have not. I usually get my tea from David's Tea, which is from Canada, I believe. So, like fiction and nonfiction. So Lilith, do you mean how I was saying, like realism and believability? Was that what you meant? Sorry, I think I read the chat late, so I probably missed the context of it. Also, vanilla chai, excellent choice. Unfortunately, it is cold, but it is still an excellent choice. I approve. My go-to tea is usually peppermint. I usually have a cup of peppermint every night. A big old basket of it on my coffee station. Honestly, I shouldn't have her hair on this layer. It should be down with the rest of the shading, but... I will face the consequences of my actions later, and then I'll be mad at myself. But for now, I'm just going to be lazy. Totally off topic. How warm is it over there? Here it's 30 Celsius, 86 Fahrenheit, and I hate it. Let's see. Yesterday it was 89 Fahrenheit. Oh, it's actually pretty cool today. It is only 72 Fahrenheit, which is 22 Celsius. Sapkowski, Witcher author. Oh, okay, so Witcher. Does it very well. I read it and feels like I'm home because he's from my country. It's very grounded, even when shit hits the fan and the whole genie is out of control. It's very logical, let's say. Yeah, see, that's a very, that's an approach that I really like. I like it when things feel grounded because I'm of the opinion that even though something is fantasy, it can still feel grounded and quote real in a way. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of stories where they almost are presented and told in almost a fairy tale sort of way, where you completely suspend your disbelief and you just kind of end up in this kind of magical fairy tale type world. There's just different methods of storytelling, but I personally do tend to really enjoy the stories that have that certain kind of level of groundedness, shall we say. I think it really helps with immersion. Is that what Immolation achieves? I don't know. I'm a beginner. I'm aiming for it, but I don't know. I'll get there, hopefully. But that's more like the tone that I'm aiming for with Immolation, so that's a style that I really enjoy reading because I'm trying to learn. I was looking for something. What was I doing? I keep getting distracted by the good chat. That's her. Where's her hair? Where did I put it? Ah, I see. I have 2 layers for her veil. Why did I do that? That was a terrible idea. Okay, that's fine. Bronte's having a bad hair day. It's canon. Poor thing. 89, oof. Yeah, it was 89 yesterday. And I think it's supposed to cool down this week a little bit, but hitting over 100 Fahrenheit, excuse me, oh my goodness, hitting over 100 Fahrenheit is pretty normal for us here in summer. It's not full-fledged summer yet, but we're getting there. David's tea looks pretty sugary. Well, I mean, you can add sugar to any tea. I prefer peppermint tea. Also, in Witcher, the author takes inspiration from old children's stories. For example, Snow White, and turns it into a moral debate. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that that was kind of like an element of the Witcher stories. It was 26°, 79 Fahrenheit today. I got off work unexpected. Oh, it started pouring? Oh, not on my freshly washed head. Oh no. You need to... It sounds like it's the time of year where you need to be carrying an umbrella at all times, just to be safe. It's fine. He's still on with bad hair. We need rain where I'm at. It's getting concerning. We've actually had a fair bit of rain out here, but... I don't know. A lot of our water gets shipped south for other people to drink. All right, let's see. I'm going to do this. I think. The little baby hairs by her ears. Extremely cute. I love them very much. Gotta have that hood right now. It's been raining half the day. I can't remember. I want to say it rained semi-recently and then got really hot, and now it's cooling off. I don't know if we're expecting more rain. Our rain so far this year has actually been pretty good, but we'll see if it lasts. I am a big fan of rain. I enjoy it. So if we get more, I will be very happy. But I'm not expecting it. Probably update this because her hair is actually pretty dark, but that ends up being difficult when I've got her dark hair in front of Cyril's dark cassock. It just kind of tends to disappear, so I'll decide what's going to be the lighter of the two later. But for now. If they made perfume or cologne based off of tea, I'd buy it without hesitation. Oh boy, do I have do I have news for you? As someone who has kind of recently fallen down the rabbit hole of fragrances, if you're looking for a fragrance You let me know, because I will dig and find samples for you. I'm currently trying to find a fragrance that works for Cyril that has kind of like the frankincense church vibes. Vante found a good one, so I've ordered a sample of that one to see if it's the right scent for Cyril, but we'll see. I'm having a lot of fun. As if I needed another expensive hobby to fall face first into, that's fine. But here I am. What am I wearing this morning? Let me think. What did I put on this morning? I just got samples from this company, and I'm not sure what I think if I would like order these to wear again. They're very cute, but I'm currently wearing Vanilla Azure by Sphinx, which is a very kind of sweet vanilla, which is very nice, very cute. It's a little, I don't want to say cloying, because it's actually not cloying, it's actually very nice. But I already have a vanilla that I really like, that I like a lot more than this one. So this one's very cute, it's very charming, but it has not dethroned Memoirs of a Trespasser, which is my go-to vanilla. That's like my signature vanilla that I usually wear out and about. Let's see, what else do I have? I have a whole bunch here. I don't have a ton that are tea centric, but I know that there are quite a lot out there. I've mostly been focused on woody and vanilla, and I've found several that I like, and some smoky ones. I have a City on Fire, smoky, burnt match, really nice. Big fan of that one. I usually wear that one to bed. A couple weeks ago, I cut my hair into a pixie cut, which devastated some of my friends. Every time I think about getting a haircut, I always remember, so my hair grows very long if I let it, and I would be kind of in like a regular cadence of growing my hair out pretty long and then cutting it all the way up to like a buzz cut. And when I would do that, I would go to this one particular salon nearby where I live, and they donate the hair to Wigs for Kids, which is a nonprofit that makes wigs for kids who are going through what's it called? Chemotherapy. And so I would pretty regularly donate my hair to them. And I remember one time I went in and my hair was about down to my hips. And I kind of went in, I sat down in the chair, and the guy, you know, started combing it all out and started separating it so he could go through and he could snip it off. And next to me that particular day was just this sweet little old lady. She was like maybe like in her like 70s or so, like white hair. She had curlers in her hair. She was reading a magazine, sitting in the chair, just kind of like hanging out. And this poor woman, I went in there, the guy sectioned my hair out, and then the first time he just took the scissors and like right up against my head, just snip. She was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh no, it's okay. I'm donating it. I do this regularly. And she said, did you at least take a before picture? I'm like, yeah, don't worry. I did, I promise. She's like, okay. She was very cute. Are you serious? You got my whole attention? I'm dead serious. You can scream at me anywhere. Discord, if you're on Discord, Instagram, even Blue Sky if you really feel like really feel like it. If you want to find fragrances, I got you, because I'm having a lot of fun. And if I can help you find something that you might like, I'm all for it. And I will definitely keep you all posted on if I find something for Cyril, because I've been looking, and so far I haven't found anything just yet, but I've got some promising ones on the way. Bronte already has hers. She smells like I have a bottle of it somewhere. Well, not a bottle, I have a sample of it somewhere. It's another one by Imaginary Authors. Whiff of Waffle Cone, that's what it's called. She smells so good. Very salted, creamy, vanilla. It's chef kiss. It's so good. Oh, same. You donated it. Oh, you donated it as well. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I have perfume called By the Sea Memory. I've been into ocean themes lately. Ocean theme is so good. I, I'm your average guy. I've got a bottle of Aqua di Gio just like every other man. It's your pretty bog standard ocean, um, ocean aquatic summer vibe. And like if I'm going to the office, I'll usually wear that because it's very inoffensive. It's very corporate. It's fine. It works well with a suit, so that's what I wear into work. But if I'm wearing something that's meant to have a little bit more fun to it, then I'll wear something else. I have not yet found a new aquatic to replace or quote unquote replace Aqua di Gio. I know that Imaginary Authors has, I think, a couple of like aquatic themes, but I haven't actually given them a smell yet. So we'll see. If you find the one for Cyril, I'm gonna buy it so hard. I'll definitely let you know. Luckily, you can get if you want to know what Bronte smells like, you can get a little sample of a whiff of waffle cone from Imaginary Authors, like $7 for a little sample of it, and you can get it, so you can know what Bronte smells like, which is, I think, great. I love it so much. She smells so good. It's so cute. I haven't found one for Cyril. There've been a couple that I've tested and sampled that are like, I could see some of these working for other characters. I could see maybe one of them possibly working for like Benjamin. I found one that kind of had that herbal, almost medicinal, but not quite, and kind of incense background to it. It wasn't quite right for Benjamin, but it was really close. So I'm having a lot of fun. I think if you're someone who potentially likes wearing a fragrance and you also make your own little guys, your little OCs, I think it's something that's really fun. You can get decants of stuff. You don't need to be going out and buying really expensive bottles to try all these things. You can just get decants. They're a couple bucks a piece. That's what I'm doing. And if I find something I really like, I'll get a full bottle of it. But that's like, if it's something that I'm going to wear, I get a full bottle of it. I was trying to find this little line, like this you. No, come on. You. Where are you? I'm trying to find it and I can't find it. I can't figure out if it's on Cyril's layer or Bronte's. That does not help me at all. Okay, it's somewhere in here. It's so convenient to have short hair. Nothing gets in your eyes. It's quick to wash and you're cool in summer. Yes, absolutely. I would usually have my hair buzzed short in the summer because otherwise it was so hot. My hair is right now is about down to, I have it clipped up right now, but I think give or take it's like, I don't know, it's about down to my collarbone, give or take right now. And this is the undercut that has grown out, and then I cut the long part to match where this is at, so. Where is it? Ah, there it is, finally. Okay, let's get rid of this. Do you usually spray perfume on your skin or clothing? So it depends. Everything is a little bit different. I have both. So it depends on the strength of what you're spraying. So even though perfume and cologne have become gendered terms to mean perfume is for women and cologne is for men, that's not actually what that means. Those are just referring to the strength and like the concentration of the fragrance. So depending on what you have, you're either going to want to spray it on skin or like apply it to like your hair is another place that you might apply it. I've never usually put it on my clothing. I usually just do wrists. Sometimes I will also do elbows, like if I'm wearing shorter sleeves. But usually wrists, sometimes elbow, and then sides of the neck. That's usually where I wear it. Sometimes I will apply it to my hair if I've like just washed my hair and I'm gonna be oiling my hair anyway. Then sometimes I'll use a perfume oil, but not always. I have an oil that I apply to my hair that is unscented, and usually it's just fine. And then I have an oil of Memoirs of a Trespasser, and I'll wear that. How did I do her veil? I think I accidentally did... Oh, I forgot to delete that. There's that little splotch of red in there that I forgot to get rid of. Oh well. I will have to find that and get rid of it. Alright, let's see. Why is that... Cyril, why are your earrings in Bronte's folder? They shouldn't be there. Man, she's so cute. I can't stand it. Okay. I like how guys look in long hair, but personally it's a texture thing that annoys me. As someone who has long hair and loves it, but also hates that it constantly gets into my eyes, yeah. I have 2 strawberry cheesecake body sprays, and the other one is sparkly if you like body glitter. That's so cute. Yeah, I don't think I have any like sprays really. I don't know. I've got 1, 2 question mark. I just got some little cheapies here. And these are both really low strength, but one of them is really cute. Some of these I just get because the bottles are really cute and they're really cheap. They're like 12 bucks. But this one's really cute. I think this one's called Sweet Milk, and it's like a bergamot tea and like cool milk kind of fragrance. It's actually really, really nice. And then this one is... Which one's this one? It's called Universe Dream, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. Sorry, pardon my language. And this one's like a nice, kind of earthy, woody. These are both really nice. They were really cheap, and I got them just because the bottles were cute. And I figured if the juice inside was worthless, I could just put a decant of something I liked in it because the bottle was cute. But yeah, I've kind of got like a handful of these. Most of these are niche fragrances, so they're not like the big department store brands. I haven't really found anything from a department store that I really like. I mean, I've got Acqua di Gio purely because my mom gifted it to me like when I was 15, and I just kept buying it because like, sure, whatever, that smells fine. As I think virtually every teenage boy has experienced at some point in their life. You get baby's first cologne, and then you just keep wearing it. I should put my hair in a ponytail before I go to bed. I don't really do anything special with my hair. I probably should. I don't know. Interesting. Okay, so what is that? Why is that doing that? Oh, I see. I see. Okay, I see what's going on. I don't know if this is going to work. because my layers are kind of a mess. Oh, okay, I think it will work. My question still stands. How many scent vials? Okay, so vials as in samples or actual bottles that I own to actually use? Because here, you know what? We'll count. We'll count together. Maths time with Dia. Come on. Let's see here. I'm going to be counting oil as well as sprays because I literally only have one oil. Let's see. And I guess, well, you know what? No, I'm not going to count the shave soap. So I have a shave soap and a fragrance that match each other, so they're the same. They're both by imaginary authors, so I'm not going to count the shave soap, even though I technically have that too. But I'm going to count the fragrance that pairs with it. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have 6 bottles of fragrance that I like actually wear. Actual dedicated bottles. We got 6. I might get a silk pillowcase. I'm bad at math. I have a silk pillowcase. I do that. I do that. I have a silk pillowcase. Highly recommend. Both because it's nice on your hair and also because it's a lot cooler in summer. All right, so, and now let's count the sample vials. Now, I don't know that I should count. I guess I would need to. I buy a lot of stuff from imaginary authors because I just enjoy pretty much everything their house makes. But every single time you buy from imaginary authors, they send you a sample. So, like a random one. So, should I count these? I'll count them anyway, just to be sure. All right, so let's see. This is blend number 83. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we're at 9 so far. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 vials just from imaginary authors. That's only imaginary authors. So remember that. Heaven, welcome in. It's good to see you. How are you? All right. So that's just imaginary authors. Now I'm going to count the samples that I have from decants and other samples, which I believe is, I currently only have, no, I do have more than that. Well, actually, some of them I just didn't like, so I actually ended up throwing them away. Don't tell anybody, but I just threw them away because they were really bad. Okay, let's count the decants that I have. And most of these, not all of them, but most of these, I want to say about 75% of these, were fragrances that I sampled because I wanted to see if they were right for Cyril. None of them were. That's okay. All right, let's count samples. I'm only going to be counting decants from Scent Split. I'm not going to be counting the Sphinx Cosmetics or whatever that one other guy was. I bought some from like an independent artist, and sorry, I threw most of them away. I think I got 5 samples, and I threw 4 of them away because they weren't very good. Sorry. All right, let's see. We're gonna count just the decants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 27! I have 27 vials of fragrance. That's only my decants. That does not include... I have one left over from Weston James. That's what it was. Weston James. I have one left over from him. Honestly, I wasn't really impressed with any of them, which is a shame, because I was hoping one of them would work. So I've got one. And then I have the Sphinx Cosmetics, which I just tried their samples. They sent me 2 extras as a freebie. I only really like one of them. But how many do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 from Sphinx. And I have literally two more orders from 2 other decants. Decanters? Decantifiers? Whatever the hell they be called. From other decants coming in. So I have more on the way. I still have not found something that works for Cyril, but hopefully, I'm optimistic. Cardinal is a very popular one that is on the way. Hopefully that should work. Did you try something earthy for something with earthy and forest-like smells for him? So yes, for Cyril, I'm hoping for something that is a blend of like typical, quote, churchy smells. So something with frankincense in it, something with kind of that smoky scent in it. And ideally, I do want there to be woody notes in it. I don't know if it's going to go all the way into earthy and forest for him, because for the priest, I think I really want to focus more on kind of that smoky. If it's possible, I would really love for there to be like some wood and some rain in there. But I think I might be asking for a little bit too much if I want a fragrance to do that. So we'll see what I can find. But I'm mostly leaning into the kind of churchy smells. Though I will say I did try. And if you're looking for woody or kind of earthy, I want to say one of these. So two of my samples that I got for Cyril that are both very good. They're not quite right for Cyril. They're not quite right, but they were really nice. And I'm probably going to butcher the names of these because they're in Italian, and I apologize. But as an example, both of these are by, what's this guy's name? Filippo Sorcinelli, who I believe works at the Vatican, so he should very much know what a church smells like. He has a ton of like church and priest themed fragrances. So I've grabbed a bunch of his stuff, and I have more of them on the way to just try to find things that work. But basically 2 of these by Filippo. One is, let's see, what is the name of this? These labels are super small because I got super small decants. Sacristy des Arbres, I'm assuming. I'm probably saying that wrong. I apologize. This one is very, very sweet, and this one I really like because it smells basically like if you blended the idea of what I'm trying to find for Cyril, so frankincense, smoke, churchy vibes, with what Bronte smells like, that very sweet and warm kind of vanilla, almost salty smell, you would basically get this Sacristy des Arbres. Again, I know that I'm butchering that. I'm not even going to try. I really, really like this one. I finished off this entire sample because I just found it very charming. It is too sweet for Cyril. It's not right for him, but it is very, very good. I do like this one quite a lot. However, be careful if you want to try this one because it was tiptoeing the line of being cloyingly sweet, which just be mindful of that. I'm very sensitive to that. So that one was good. But for something that's woody, I don't know if this would really go all the way over to earthy, but it definitely is woody. And this one is another one of the fragrances from Filippo. This one is Relic Via. I'm assuming is how you would say that. I'm not entirely sure. Relic Via. And this one has some of those same kind of churchy frankincense, smoky notes, but it also has a very, very heavy wood undertone to it that is really, really nice. And yeah, because I'm butchering the names, I will put them in the chat for you. I'll write it out so you can copy and paste it and search it up if you want. If you want to get decants of these to try them out yourself, I went through Scent Split. It was a very pleasant experience. I'd recommend working with them. And so far, they're also the one that I found that does the cheapest of these, but it might be different in your country. But I'll put the names in the chat if you guys want to try them out yourself. Relic Via is very, very popular. A lot of people really, really like this one. I also like it. It's just not quite right for Cyril, so I'm still hunting. But it is very nice. And actually, let's see if I can just... Will my YouTube get mad at me if I put links in my own chat? Ah, well, whatever. Okay, hold on. Let me put these in here. All right, let's see. I'm not going to put links because I think YouTube might just eat them. I'm not entirely sure if it would, but you can search these up and you can find them. But remember, don't rush out and buy like a big bottle of it. These bottles are hundreds of dollars. If you really want to try them out, just get a decant of it. And then this one. There you go. I will put them in the chat for you. You can explore if you would wish. I got a bunch by Filippo. Pont Max is the really, really popular one. I got that one too. Also wasn't right for Cyril. I'm very, very picky, if you can't tell. I'm very picky. But yeah, there's a bunch of these. From Filippo. But yeah, if you wanna try those out, there you are. Those are the names. I have some others as well that are just, I like them for myself. But those are in separate books. All right, let's get back to it. My next sample batch, shall we say, my next decants should be here Tuesday. So maybe I'll yap about those in the Discord when they arrive. Where did I put... Ah, there it is. Okay. We can delete you. There we go. The bottle of the first one. Yes, the bottle is literally the Pope's hand. They're very, very Vatican themed. It's also why the bottle will cost the small price of your soul because it's a really expensive bottle. But yes, there's a bunch of those kind of like Pope hand fragrances. Like Pont Max is one in that bottle that is very, very popular. Again, I've tried it. It wasn't quite right for Cyril. I have the decant of it here still. I haven't used up the decant, but I'm just very picky. They're all really, really nice. Like none of them are unpleasant. It's just they're not right for Cyril, and I'm so picky. So I'm hoping that some of the ones I have incoming will suit him. All right, let's see. I think I'm going to. And now we get to actually, well, I'm already making a lot of concessions here because technically any of this would be stinging Bronte. So a little here, we'll do some more visual aids to give you an idea. I make a lot of exceptions when I draw Bronte and Cyril because I am their god and I can do whatever I want. Gonna go have a great rest of your stream. Love the art. Thank you, Heaven. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm just gonna do some quick little color blocks here. Because different colors in the church mean different things, both in terms of what they represent and what they do. And this generally applies, but mostly this is like in Bronte specific context. It's really hard to write with a tablet. Ugh. Anyway, so black will sting her. So the black fabric of Cyril's cassock will sting her, generally speaking. If it's the gold fabric, it'll burn her. And if it's white, there's a big ol' asterisk here. But if it's white, she'll die, essentially. And there's an asterisk there because no Cyril's little clerical collar, that won't kill her if she touches it. If Cyril or any other member of the clergy who is capable, if they use the spell that turns their black cassock white, if they touch that fabric when it is in that state, they'll die immediately. Which is what happens to any vampire who is touched by the clergy when they're in that state. So that's your quick little lesson on what the colors mean for the church. So technically, as I am sitting here thinking like, oh, based off of how Cyril is sitting and kind of leaning back, the sash is pretty high-waisted, so technically you would be able to see his sash like right here. Which means that she would definitely be touching it, which means it would definitely be burning her. But like I said, I'm their god. I decide. And if we're just going to say for the sake of this drawing it's not burning her, then congratulations, it's not burning her right now. He's also renowned for his work under the name, oh boy, Il Sarto dei Papi, I'm assuming? Tailor to the Popes. Yes, I had heard that he was also a tailor. Bro is min-maxing his marketability. But yes. Alright, let's see. And now I need to kind of... You can see like the angle that like his body kind of go. Well, that's not the angle that his body goes at, but you get what I'm trying to say. And again, like I mentioned, if she wouldn't touch his buttons because they burn her, but I'm trying to how would I place these when he's in this position? Because there's 9 buttons. There's 9 buttons total. Usually. There we go. I think that mostly gets them in the relatively correct position, because basically his cross gets pinned to the 4th button down, which is this one. And I know that that one basically needs to sit like at his boob, at his boob level. So if I space them correctly to allow that to happen, then I've mostly placed them correctly. That's that's how I handle the design of his cassock. It's approximate position to his boobs is how we figure it out. Oh, and you can see that I would totally plan that to be in a different spot. Yeah. Because her head's still going to be going in front of him, so we'll need to... But we can do that later, because it's future me problem. Let's see. I might not make mac and cheese for Memorial Day, pasta salad instead. Ooh, you're reminding me that I have mac and cheese in the fridge. I don't even think my family's doing much for Memorial Day. I'm trying to remember. Did anyone invite me to anything? I don't think so. I think I just get the day off, which I'm still gonna go take some flowers to my grandpa because he is a vet, was a vet. But other than that, I don't think anyone said they have anything planned. So I can make my own pasta at home and have it all to myself. How long has she been sitting on his lap that she managed to fall asleep? That's an excellent question. Technically Bronte falls asleep pretty quickly. So who knows? Who knows how long she's been there? But it's like when a cat falls asleep on you. Cyril can now no longer move. He must stay exactly where he is. He cannot disturb her. He's contractually obligated to staying right where he is. All right. And see, this is another thing. That would definitely be okay. So these are the old buttons. I can delete these. Cyril's cross would definitely burn her for obvious reasons. And if Bronte was inquiring about the possibility of laying on him and perhaps was bold enough to ask him, would he remove his cross so she could lay on him? Yeah. Is that the right thing to do? No. Would he do it anyway? Yeah. But for the sake of design consistency, I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on him, even though this would definitely burn her. Actually, no, I wouldn't be doing that. Yeah, I think like that. Oh, come back. Thank you. Wouldn't he ask for something in return? Absolutely. Cyril will offer her a trade. You know, like picture the guy with like his fingers steepled together. I'm gonna offer you a trade. I'll make you a deal. I'll make you a deal you can't refuse. Bronte, in her naivety and innocence, would be like, "Can you remove the cross so I can like hug you?" And Cyril's like, "Yeah, if you take literally everything off, then I'll do that." And she'd be like, "Oh, okay." She'd probably do it. That's the sort of thing Cyril would probably do. That's what I wanted to say. She's very feline coded. There's a line in Immolation. I can't remember exactly what chapter it's in, but she is described as leaning into his hand when he's like patting her head. She like leans into his hand, and I think the quote is quite literally like a kitten expecting affection. And I'm like, yeah, that's the cutest shit I've seen in my life. Let's go. It's gonna be warm out, and I'm not sure if mac and cheese will be good for that, so pasta salad. Yeah, that's true. Because pasta salad's a cooler dish. It's a little bit more summery. And if you're gonna have summer weather, then that would make sense. Are you a potato salad or a pasta salad person? If you have to choose, which one's it gonna be? Or I guess chicken salad's the other one, like a chicken apple salad is like another one of like those types of salads that I'm envisioning for like picnics and stuff. That's like pretty typical picnic fare, at least here in America. It's so bastardly of him. Listen, Cyril knows what he's about. It's actually a well, you know what? Maybe I won't say that. I was gonna say there's a bit that was, and it's not that it was cut from Immolation Volume 1, because it wouldn't have happened in Volume 1, but I ended up cutting it. I don't remember if I cut it from Volume 2 or Volume 3, because I'm working on both, so both already exist and are being worked on, and they kind of blur together in my mind. Um, but I cut the whole interaction out because I'm not sure if I'm gonna use it, so I'm not gonna say it in case it comes back because it would be a spoiler. Um, but yeah, man. What was I doing? I was gonna add something. Oh, okay, here we go. Technically, I'm missing some elements of Cyril's classic, but I'm being lazy. It's already almost 1:30, so I'll probably give it about 10 more minutes, give or take, and then I'll go make myself some lunch, probably make another coffee, and go and get some of my work done that I need to do this weekend. Any salad is fine as long as the egg salad doesn't have shells in it. Oh no. Oh, that's awful. Ugh. Ugh, not the shells. So technically, Cyril should have like a little scene on the capelet, I guess, is probably what I would call it. Capelet. I'm gonna come down here to like the edge of his shoulder. And then there's like a little cross thingy right there. And then I made this too short, I think, so ignore that. But then from here, it kind of splits. And then these are pleats, and kind of like the end of it. Very clear, but that fabric is pleated. This is definitely too short. Just gonna ignore that. He was stroking her head atop the veil, and she did lean into his hand like a kitten. I'm fine. Fine. I'm not emotional. You are. Yeah, that is more accurate. And then on top of that, he's got this seam also has like a gold trim that's kind of laid into it. And then this is like a piece of jewelry. An actual little metal thingy that I'm trying really hard to make that a little cross and it's not working. Hold on. Ah, dang it. I didn't make it easy on myself, did I? It's like a little fleur-de-lis is really what it looks like. And because I guess I don't really specify, no, it's not a cross like a crucifixion cross. It's actually the symbol for the church's main star and the constellation because it makes that shape. He's a wonderful manipulator. He knows when to push her buttons to get what he'd like. Bronte's mind doesn't look like a good offer. Bronte's like, I don't know. I was going to wear my star earrings, but I found out that I also lost those ones at Subway of all places. Oh no. That's a pain. I hate losing jewelry. I used to have this really, really cute sterling silver frog necklace that my uncle gave to me. My uncle collects and like trades antiques, and if he finds cool little biddle baps, he gives them to me. And I had that necklace for years and years, and then one time I was playing soccer and the chain came loose and I never found my little frog and I was very sad. One day I will hopefully find a replacement. I have not yet found one though. It looks comfy. It's what she deserves. She deserves to be comfy and cozy, and Cyril should keep his hand where it is and not let it wander anywhere else, sir. Even though we know he's thinking about it. Alright, let's see. Oh, right, and then he has this extra little layer. He's not wearing his stole right now, but he's basically got these extra little parts that kind of hang over. That's not really right. Little extra parts, and these like kind of symbolize this. Symbolize? Oh my goodness, I need to go because I can't even speak anymore. They symbolize the stole so that even though he's not wearing it, it just kind of indicates that's like his rank in the church. He's technically supposed to be wearing the stole if he's hearing a confession. But this little bit that kind of layers over the cassock kind of says that like, hey, this guy is of a rank where he can hear confessions, even if he's not wearing his stole right this second, he can technically still hear a confession. So that's what that's for. Sometimes you just gotta run up to a guy and be like, hey, I need to confess right now. What happened to my... Where is it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? I've lost it already. So 2 minutes. Ah, there it is. Okay. Frogs for jewelry are so endearing. I had a family member that collected frog-like items. Yeah, it was a really cute little necklace. wonder if I could find one that I've never really bothered looking for one, but I also had a really nice ring that my uncle gave me. And I also lost that. I think my parents threw that one away, but I haven't been able to find another one of those either. And I'm sure that the necklace itself wouldn't be difficult to find. Because I'm sure it was just like a cast piece, and I'm sure the mold still exists out there and has probably been mass produced now. But it was a very, very specific shape. But yeah, and then I used to have a ring that was sterling silver. My uncle trades mostly in silver. And the ring looked like... That's really... whatever. I'm just going to draw this and then I'm going to head out because I have stuff to do today. But anyways, so that's a ring. That's the inside. And then on the outside, it had like an alternating kind of like checkerboard texture almost. And it had little fleur-de-lis in it. And those repeated. There's fleur-de-lis in every little box. And then every alternating box had like a dark, like a black infill kind of. Like that. And I really, really missed that ring because it was so precious to me. I think my mom threw it away. But I still, every now and then, I still look around and see if I can find a ring that is even remotely similar, because it was such a precious ring to me, and I'm so sad that I lost it. But yep, I had that, and then I had that necklace, and I wish I still had both, but I do not. Eventually, I will get replacements for the two of them. But yes, I think that is going to be where I call it. I do have to get some work done today. So, thank you for joining. I hope you guys had fun. Bronte is definitely wearing a dress, I promise. Lord of the Rings. Bye, Lilith. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you had fun. I'm gonna wrap it up. Make myself another coffee. Get some chores and some errands done. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining. I had a wonderful time chatting with you guys, as always. Once I get my fragrance samples in, I'll definitely yap about it. Keep an eye on YouTube. I don't know how soon I'm going to get a response from the narrator, but there should be audiobook related videos coming soon. Whenever he gets back to me, we'll figure out when that's going to be. If you're subscribed to the email mailing list, which I have not touched in like over a year. Anyways, if you're subscribed to that, you'll get a notification via email, both for the audiobook and for the second editions once I get those sorted as well. But yeah, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you, appreciate the support. I stream every other Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope you can make it. I will see you guys next time, and have a great rest of your weekend.